If I say Meg Thee Stallion,
They know Meg.
Your knee, when you pray, you have knees like Meg Thee Stallion. I didn't want to preach, I wanted to fight somebody. If one other person would have told me, stop crying, your mama's in heaven. If one more person would have said that, I was going to go taekwondo and Negro. Your oil only pours on who you are, not who you pretend to be.
Okay, I know y'all are looking like, where is the real host? But listen, it's your boy, Reverend Dr. Richard Boone IV, and this is No Amen Required. And I want to say a special guest, but I want to introduce you to somebody y'all already know. I'm here to interview the one and only Reverend Dr. Dewey Smith Jr. What's up, Doc?
Man, hey, man, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you, man. I tried, man. I've been trying to get you for a long time.
Hey, it took forever to get here. Mama, I made it.
Yes, sir. You're a busy guy, man. Thank you. Man, I want to jump right into this conversation.
Yeah.
I want to talk about preaching, the importance of communication, especially in this generation. You've been doing this for a long time. How many years have you been preaching?
Next month, the month of May of 2026 will be 38 years.
38 years.
38 years, man. So basically my entire life officially. Yeah, I was
38.
Yep.
So what is that? 17, 19?
I was 17. I got called to preach when I was 13, but I've been preaching all my life. You know, imitating my dad at 2 and 3. My aunt has pictures of me at 2 with a robe on, but it's something I swore I would never do. Yeah, I love sports, I love music, and I love the girls. Yes, sir. Preaching was something that I did not want to do. And my senior in high school, I felt this just overwhelming presence that I knew was my purpose. And so, man, I started 38 years ago and haven't turned back. And, and God has been good, man. Really.
Wow.
Preach all over the world, literally. My gift has taken me all over the world. Yeah.
38 years.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is, most people have the churchy answer, but are you tired? Or if not, what makes you keep going after 38 years?
Well, I'm excited. I think for me it's more of communication. A lot of my friends don't call it preacher, they call it a communicator. So it's communicating a message. I feel like I know my purpose is I'm not a preacher. I was placed on earth not to be a preacher. I was placed on earth to be a messenger of hope. Yeah, that's my purpose. But God gave me various gifts by which I could fulfill that purpose. Speaking, teaching, preaching, film, music, writing, sports. So, it's just one avenue. It's one aspect. Because sometimes we define ourselves by one thing.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
And so I'm preaching is one of the gifts God has given me to fulfill my purpose of bringing the message of hope. So that's exciting. And also being able to communicate to all generations.
Okay, yeah.
The challenges. And so with everything that's happening now in technology and media and social media, so how do you communicate with that age? So that's the thing that keeps me excited and finding different ways to communicate hope to people who need it. So no, I'm excited about that part.
So, and normally when you think about preaching, it's always in the pulpit.
Yes.
Sunday morning, Wednesday revivals. But what you just said, like you want to communicate schools, teams, through movies, through social media content. Growing up, was that a problem? Did people see that as a problem?
I started on camera at my dad's church. He started his TV broadcast when I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
And Mr. James Tunstall, who passed away a few months after my dad, he was the first media director. And so we didn't have any volunteers, so he volunteered me to be on the camera. So he taught me how to white balance the camera, how to balance the tripod, and we would, take the tape down to Channel 7 TV, Good News Channel 7 in Macon. And so I would duplicate my dad's messages, and so that's when I got a love for film, and TV and media. And then when we would do sports, when I got in high school, we didn't have YouTube or Huddle channels back then. So we had reel to reels. And so we get our football reels and send them off to colleges. And so guys who were trying to go to college, I would get the reels, put them together, and put like a video together, VHS, and send them off. So I've always been involved with it. And so when I started preaching, I didn't know how I would bring that into this whole thing. So of course I had my media ministry and a radio ministry, and I started television ministry when I was 23, but that was the extent of it. Just doing what my dad did. Because what more could you do as, because for me, I thought Christian content was corny. And Christian movies just
that is true.
It's just really, man, it's just one real life, man. So that was nothing that was shot, that was sexy and hot and just urban and that you felt. So I started doing illustrated sermons, and man, 30 plus years ago, and I would do like a short film and different ways. And then I started, I got hooked up with one of the members whose name was Rob Hardy. And Rob had a film company with Will Packard.
Okay.
And Rob got me involved in this, and several years later, I signed a contract with Warner Brothers to do content on television show, and so that's when I started really getting into it from a professional perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just don't want to limit it to church.
I think that's good, especially in this generation where it's, people actually Netflix and chill.
Yes.
Right. I know we say crazy stuff about it, but people like to watch TV.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that people can sit and watch a Netflix series all day, but kind of complain when the preacher preached 35 minutes. Right. So something has shifted, and you've been doing this for a long time, and you're known for illustrations. Talk to us about illustration. Why do you do that? Why is that important?
That's an excellent question. What I learned through just communication and education is people learn 80% more from the visual than they do the auditory. And I remember even as a boy, man, growing up in church, especially when my grandfather would preach, he was very poetic, and my great-great-uncle Matthew Brown. And those old preachers, I was a little boy, and I would hear them say, "Paint the picture, Reverend."
Yeah.
They tell the story, they use a lot of imagery and poetry, but they didn't say preach it. Say it, paint the picture.
Paint it.
So even in their language, it was trying to get you to see something. And so for me, growing up and preaching, I realized, man, it's like you heard the same story a million times. He died, he got up early Sunday morning. Moses went down to the Red Sea, Dana. So how do I put that in a way where people who don't know the Bible?
That's true.
George Barna says this is the most biblically illiterate society in 400 years. So a lot of people don't know those scriptures. They weren't raised in church. So they may not read the Bible. Old King's English, you talk about, Elizabethan English and didst thou beseechest wouldest. No, so sometimes it's, what is that? So how do you take that story in such a way where people get it? And here's the truth of the matter is, even Jesus, he used illustration.
Yeah.
He'd be preaching about where he say, "Why don't you consider the birds of the air? See how they don't spin? Look at the lilies of the field. They don't get depressed."
Paint the picture.
That's painting a picture.
Paint the picture.
Using an illustration. It's a parable. So, but it's only till we come in church where you do something like that out the box that people think, oh, they're using gimmicks. Oh, just preach the gospel. Just do it like Jesus did it. Man, he talked about sheep. He talked about corns. He talked about you're the salt of the earth. You're the light of the world. So it's imagery. It's metaphor. It's allegory. Even the scriptures, allegorical, poetry, metaphorical, simile. The kingdom was likened unto. That's simile.
Right.
So a lot of people just don't. They get so stuck on doing it one way. And for me, if I had to do that with me, it would just be I would hate it. Show me something different.
Yeah.
And so I try to put it in a way with people who may have not ever heard the story. They can get something from it that's hopeful.
So how long have you been doing it? Yeah.
I started doing the illustrated sermon before. I've been pastoring for 36 years this year. In March of 2026 was my 36 years of senior pastor, 22 years at the House of Hope. I was in Macon, my first church, for 14 years. But I started doing illustrated sermons from the very beginning.
You remember your first one?
Before I started pastoring, yeah, I did something called the Light of the World. And I was talking about that Jesus said, "Let your light shine."
Yeah.
And I got to the close. It's Matthew 5:16. This had to be maybe five months after I started preaching. So this was 88. So I was thinking about how so many things try to stop you from putting your light out, extinguish your light.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to shine and do things positive, how the enemy will try to extinguish your light. And I was just thinking, and I went to the store and I saw these candles, and they had these candles that you put them on the cake and you blow them out, and the candle go out for a minute, it come back.
A candle?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if they still make those candles, but you put them on a birthday cake. It's like if you don't make a joke, put on a birthday cake, make a wish, you blow them out, it go out, come back on. So I was preaching the sermon. I said, you know what, if I got one of those candles? And if I light the candle at the close of the sermon, and you letting your light shine, and when the enemy comes, and every now and then he'll blow your light out. But I kept holding the light. But it goes off about maybe 10 seconds. I said, but if you don't give up. Keep the faith. And don't let you, and then the candle come back on.
Oh, that's good.
So I did it about 5 times. And at the end of the sermon, man, people
that's good.
So I think it was my first time doing illustrated, but it was just using that part. I blew that candle out, and then so go out 5-10 seconds. And one time I blew it out, it took like 20 seconds. Is this thing will ever come back on? But it created that tension, and when it came back on, man, people, they saw the picture. Just that candle. I could have preached the message the same way,
but they can see it.
I had that candle, and people still talk about it right now to this day. People who heard that message, remember, you had that candle, you blew that candle out. That was the first time.
When did you get the courage? And again, I think about like the older preachers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a younger preacher, but I can imagine back in the day,
yeah.
It's different now, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody like you, if I were to do that, it's like, oh man, do it. But back in the day, it's like,
oh my God.
Gimmicks.
Yeah.
Where did you get the courage? How did you get the courage to just do it, especially as a young preacher?
I think because I was preaching a lot to kids and youth, that I didn't care as much. Because I was trying to reach them.
Got you.
And I realized going up there with a black suit on, trying to talk to 12-year-olds about Nicodemus, man, you know what I mean? So I take 2 Live crew and I preached a sermon one time. This is before your time. I'm telling my age. It was MC Hammer.
I remember him. I know.
He had a song called "Too Legit to Quit." Too legit to quit. Yeah, it was a banger. He came out that dance. And so I took that theme, and it was a sermon from Nehemiah. He said I was going to do the work, but I can't come down. I called it "Too Legit to Quit." And so of course the saints hated it. Some of the religious, but it's like I'm trying to take a secular phrase to convey a spiritual truth. It's parable. That's what Jesus did. Let me take something that's earthly that can be understood. And how can I apply that same principle to something that's spiritual? And I just preached that text, but Nehemiah said I can't come down because I'm too legit to quit. I got to finish the work that God. Some people don't like that, but I think it reached people who understood it in a different way. Yeah.
Did you get any, did people say anything negative about it?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure people did, but the response was so overwhelming. Because young people kept coming. I became the youth president for the state convention for the whole state of Georgia. So, man, I was always trying to do something to reach them. I didn't care about the folks who've been, and that's the problem. We try to reach, we try so much to satisfy the people who's already in the house.
Yeah, they already saved and they know the story.
Yeah, but what about the folks who don't know it?
That's true.
And if everybody knows the story, that means we're not doing our job.
That's true.
And Rick Warren says Jesus called us to be fishers of men, but instead of us fishing for men, we just swap fish between aquariums. So I'm trying to reach new people in a way they can understand on their level. And sometimes people who rigid, you gotta do it this way. I do what I'm called to do, and I can't worry about that.
Yeah. So you're known, of course, preaching all over the country, but
Yes.
I want to stick with illustrations.
Yes.
Especially at House of Hope around Easter.
Yes.
Talk to me about, and those who are watching, about some of the projects that you did back in the day, and then I want to talk about what you did this year.
Man, I have done one. I did Paul and Silas back in Macon in 1999. What I would do every New Year's Eve, I would do them on New Year's Eve.
I got you.
And we would go down to the auditorium in Macon, and man, it'd be 4,000 or 5,000 people there every New Year's Eve. Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, man. You're talking about 90,000 people in town.
Yeah.
I got 4,000 or 5,000 of them in the auditorium. So I would do something, but it was something I was telling, invite the lost. It was evangelistic for me.
Got you.
So I had a jail bit one time. I was Paul and Silas. I preached from Paul inside the jail, right? So I had the jail uniform on. I'm there telling the story of being incarcerated from Philippians. I've done the story of, Elijah being raptured up and preached the whole story and found myself going up on this gurney into the top of the auditorium. That was like 2000.
Man.
When I came to Atlanta, my first major one for the illustration, I did it in 2005 for New Year's Eve. It was called Clear, where we told the story of Lazarus. We did like a mini film, and the story of Lazarus being resurrected. And I closed out, I dressed as a doctor, I'm Dr. Jesus, and I had one of my deacons run on the table as Lazarus. It just told a story narratively, and at the end I had these defibrillators, and how, you know, Jesus resurrected him by saying, Lazarus, come forth. And man, people still talk. That's probably one of the most, that's the most classic one of all time.
I watched one, I don't know if you remember, and you had a whole, it was like 15 caskets.
Yeah, 10 caskets.
10, and I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, that was the story of Job. And we had the local funeral home. We did like a mini film sharing the story of Job, how he lost all 10 of his kids. And so the movie, the mini film, showed the whole plot and the party happening, and the kids died, and we dressed up, and the cameras caught us driving to church in a hearse, you know, behind the hearse. We got out of the car at the church and walked in. That's when it was live. He had 10 caskets up there. And so that represented his 10 children. So it was New Year's Eve, but the goal was how many of us have had things to die in our lives, and we've been unable to move on. So what I did, we had people put things, sheets of paper, we gave sheets of paper to everybody, things that need to be buried. And they wrote them down, and at the end of the service, I had pallbearers to collect them. We put those things in the casket. And as the service was closing out, they rolled those things.
That's good.
So we're forgetting the things that are behind us.
That's good.
Burying those things. So it was an imagery.
Paint the picture.
Yes.
Paint the picture.
And to get people to think about what it was and what you expect God to do. Some people say it's unnecessary, but people donated the caskets and donated time because they want to help us tell the story.
Yeah.
Some people think it doesn't take all that. For me, why not? Just because somebody doesn't do it. So, and so now, so we've done it every year. So fortunately this year, we have our creative team. Of course, Greg Kirkland, who's been with us forever, he said, man, I got an idea for Easter. I said, what? He said, you ever thought about who got the body, that expression? I said, So this was last year. And of course, we pulled a team together to think about it. And then he said to me in January, what do you think it'll be like? Jesus never really had a good funeral. So then you and the team, and so he gave him that because, you know, in the black community, when somebody dies, that's one of the first things, who got the body?
Who got it?
Like, who's the funeral director? So that's where the concept came from. So I was thinking through that concept about what scriptures we can apply. So the team got together and put we can do this, we can decorate this, we can get a hearse. Shout out to Gregory B. Levitt and Sons and Tri-Cities for donating their chapel and the hearse for us to use, you know. So that's where that came from this year. But fortunately, I didn't have to do everything. The team put all those creative elements together. I just come and do my part. So, yeah.
Can you help us, of course I know, but for those who are listening, kind of identify the difference between, you know, the first service, then you have your Easter production, and then we have like that third service. Just kind of the identity of each service.
Yeah, I think what we wanted to do that whole day, the metaphor or the image was, we want to kind of, because when Jesus died at like 3 o'clock, back in Roman time, 3 p.m., he had to be in the ground by 6.
Yeah.
So you don't see a funeral.
That's true. That's true. That is.
So somebody that powerful died and wasn't properly funeralized.
Right.
So the whole theme we were trying to create was, let's give him a decent, what would you do if you had an opportunity to memorialize him? What would that funeral look like?
That's good.
And so that was the theme. And so they let you guys decided to lead the hearse now all day. So the first service was more traditional, and I just preached an expository message, right? For sunrise service, 7 a.m., 12:30 service, the same. So those were pretty much regular traditional services, except we didn't want to give the music away too much. We want to keep it more geared toward Friday.
For the production.
For the production purposes. The first service and third service, we open up a little bit. But we want that second service, which was more for the production and more of a narrative, and which is important. Now, I want to say this too, that when you preach, there are different types of preaching. You got expository preaching, textual preaching, narrative preaching, topical preaching, narrative exposition, inductive, deductive. So you got different approaches to it. So for me, the first and third services for our Easter were expositional sermons. Take one text, You expose the text.
Right.
The production was more narrative, but it was first person because we said, who was the funeral director at Jesus' funeral? So we wanted to give Joseph of Arimathea a voice. So I preached first person as him. And reason why, because, we normally hear about the usual suspects, Mary and Peter, but let's give Joseph a voice.
Right.
Because he's the one who went and got the body. So that was the whole thing as a funeral. And if you just Google Joseph of Arimathea, you will see that even funeral directors use him as a template. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Me either until preparation for this message.
That's
so
good.
we saw him as a funeral director. And so, but I want to say this, a lot of people think that you got to do it this way. And some people they think if you don't preach the way I do it, you're wrong. They don't realize Matthew had a style, Mark had a style, Luke had a style,
That's true.
John had a style.
That's true.
It's bringing the wasness of the word into the isness of now through the medium of your personality. So if I'm creative, my gifts of creativity, use it. If you're a doctor, Luke was a medical doctor.
Yeah.
When you read it, he writes graphically, he writes descriptively. If you like sports, if you like comedy,
add it.
But people try to make you fit their box. And they say, if you don't do it my way, as if they're the bastions are the only way it's supposed to be done. It's just really crazy, and it's a homiletical arrogance that people have. It's got to be my way, like I'm the bastion of what communication is.
Why do you? And I get it, and as a preacher, the 3 points in the poem.
Yes.
Why do you think in this generation people turn away from it? I always hear, I say from college age to maybe 40s, I'm tired of 3 points in the poem, man. I'm tired of the alliteration. It worked back in the day. Why not now for certain people?
I think you have to be diverse. The attention span, and especially since COVID. When I grew up, the preacher can be in church all day long. Right now with young people, if you get the young person to give you 28 minutes of their attention, you are doing incredibly well.
28 minutes?
Yeah, because they got iPads.
Right.
At 2 years of age, they got an iPad.
That's true. Yeah.
So that I got to sit and just watch you for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. The attention span is different. So you got to be aware of that. And you got to realize, I'm a country boy who likes to fish. So when you go fishing, each fish is different. When I go fishing, the way I fish for a bass, I fish for a catfish or a brim, bluegill.
Change it up.
Totally different.
That's good.
Like a catfish will eat anything. A worm, hot dog, you can put bread, catfish will eat it. Brim, you gotta use something that's unique to them.
This is when you say paint the picture.
Yeah. And a brim is quick. Like when you fishing, you gotta watch that cork because that brim will hit it, it's gone. Blue, it'll hit it. It'll eat your worm, it's gone. So you gotta catch it. Catfish is a scavenger. I'm saying all that to say that when you're trying to fish for the souls of people,
right,
you gotta realize everybody don't eat the same bait.
Different.
Yeah.
It's different.
How you preach to a 60-year-old is not saying you preach to a 16-year-old. Right?
Yeah.
If I'm preaching to a 60-year-old, I talk to them about, Trump. I talk to them about, the earth, wind, and fire. I talk with them about, they don't want to hear Bad Bunny. If I'm talking to a 12-year-old, I'm gonna talk to them about Cardi B. I'm gonna talk to them about, they not know Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne may be gone for them.
Yeah.
But if I say Meg Thee Stallion,
they know.
You better have
Meg.
Your knee when you pray. You better have knees like Meg Thee Stallion.
They know, and
that's strong.
They know it.
So it's like the different context. If I'm going to a Hispanic place, I'm not talking about Ray and Rufus. I'm preaching in Europe. So every context, my message can be the same.
Right.
But my applications. If I'm preaching to a white audience, I'm not talking about Beyonce. I'm talking about Taylor Swift.
Because they know.
Yeah.
They know. That's true.
If I'm preaching to a country audience, I'm talking about Jelly Roll. So it's knowing your audience and then being able to relate to that specific audience.
So it sounds to me that as a preacher, you have to know what's going on in the culture. Do you think, just from your opinion, the reason why most preachers may not preach about the culture is because it's kind of disconnected? It's all church, all spiritual, all Lee Williams, and it was a spiritual QC. Yeah. Talk to us about how important it is to at least know what's going on in the culture.
You know, most preachers, I can't say most, a lot, now when I grew up, they are sticklers for exegeting the text.
That's right there. Stick to
And
the
that's
text.
important.
Yeah.
That's a part. You got to exegete it.
What is exegesis?
And that is exit means to extract.
Gotcha.
Ex in Greek and Latin. You see excavate. So I read that text, and when preaching requires a couple things, I got to extract. I got to excavate. What's the meanings, the nouns, the places. So I go into that text and I extract the meaning, right? And so I got to investigate. I make my observation, my investigation. Then my interpretation. What did this writer say?
Right.
Right? My mentor says I got to bring the wasness of the word into the isness of now. So I got to go in there and I got to bring it out. But he says, but I got to take the bridge. I got to take it from then to now. I got to build a bridge from then to now. So we exegete the text, but do I exegete the context? That's why Paul said I got to become all things to all men.
Right.
That I may win them. So how am I going to win you if I don't know who you are? So I'm a chaplain for a football team. I do recruiting for football. Well, I got to know if I'm going to recruit an 18-year-old or minister to an 18-year-old, I got to know what you're going through, man.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't come at you all holy roly. So I know who NBA Youngboy is.
Yeah, because they listen.
I know who,
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, Blueface. I gotta know that. We walk out the tunnel going to the game. We walk in your trap, take over your trap. I gotta know that.
No Kirk Franklin
No,
smile.
I don't want to hear that, man. When we on the road, we walk in your trap, take over your trap. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Some people won't understand that. I'm like that when we walking. That means we come into your field.
Yeah.
And we gonna take over your trap.
Yeah.
Most guys wouldn't know what trap is. But if you're not from the trap, yeah. So I mean, I'm coming to your house, but now I can relate to them guys.
Right.
I can lead them out that prayer. They got problems, they call me because I got a relationship with them. Because I understand them. That's why Jesus understands people, and the common people heard him gladly. That's what the Bible says about him. The common people heard him gladly.
That's important, I think, for younger preachers,
Yes.
like myself. And I tell my dad, man, he can preach.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was the text. You stick to the text.
Yeah.
And I think I've always had a gift to find application for myself, but I don't think not everyone can do that.
You just said something so powerful.
So, talk to us about application. Why is that so important? Why is that important?
If I'm just telling you what the scripture said, that's history. I got to bring the wasness of the word into the isness of now.
Right.
Which means, this is what Joe Greger, my mentor, says, I got to get into the mind of the ancient writer, the customs, the history, the nomenclature, to understand what it meant in his time, right? Then I got to build a principalizing bridge and say, okay, so what does that mean to the air code of the people I'm addressing? How do I bring it from then into now with no application? So I got to have observation, investigation, observation. I got to interpret what it meant in this time. But then how does this apply to my life now? Application. So the problem now, you got two extremes. One, just say what the Bible says, don't say anything else about it. He died. No application to me. That's history. Then you got some that are all motivation. They want to give you a motivation part, but no scripture.
Right.
But you got to balance. You give the point from the text, accurately describing what it means.
Yeah.
So you're sticking to the text. But then what does this mean for now?
Right.
The application. How does this, if I don't answer the question, how does it apply to now? Why am I listening to you?
That's true. Yeah.
You got to be able to say what the text means to me. How can I apply this to my life? In other words, so why am I listening to you if there's no application for my life? Man. And that's what guys don't understand. So you got to be accurate with your interpretation and your communication of what the text meant, right? That's the proclamation of it. So you do stick to the text.
Yeah.
But applying what the text says does not mean I haven't stuck to the text. Right. I've stuck to the text. I've just drawn my application from that point of that movement. And people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that.
I want to go back to Easter.
Yes.
Normally, you have your Good Friday.
Yes.
And we get to Sunday, and it's all resurrection.
Yes.
But your sermon, you kind of talked about Friday and Saturday
Yes.
and Sunday, and most people don't do it.
Yes.
It's almost like a rule. You don't talk about Friday on Sunday, but it's like, hey, I want to give the people the full story. And when I was listening to your sermon, at one point you talked about that silent Saturday.
Yes.
Talk about that. Why is that important?
Because rarely do we talk about Silent Saturday. He died. We call it Good Friday. We have a day off. A lot of people do, but they don't go to church. They're not thinking about it. They're doing what they want to do. They're going to happy hour on Good Friday. It's a day off. But we want to give him a funeral.
Right.
We want to properly bury him. So it's like, okay. So I was thinking to who got the body, okay, when y'all put everything together, and they said we can bring a hearse in. Let's give him a funeral on Sunday. So I want to take my time as we funeralize him, how he died, how Joseph got the body from Pilate, who got the body, what that meant, but then what happened after the funeral. After the funeral, you got Saturday, and it's called Silent Saturday. Right? Most people don't think about that. They run straight to Sunday, and it hit me. Too often in our lives, we want to run from Good Friday resurrection. But Good Friday is traumatic.
It is. Yeah.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
And sometimes people want to move from Friday to Sunday like Friday didn't happen. And Richard Foster has a book called The Celebration of Discipline. He talks about the importance of solitude and quiet.
Yeah.
And the point I was trying to make to people is sometimes we want to move from our trauma to Sunday, and you haven't sat with it. And sometimes you move too quickly. You know, I use the analogy, the application, that you can go through a traumatic event in a relationship on Friday, and you want to rush to Sunday to be in a new relationship, but you ain't sat with the hurt.
Right.
Your own Silent Saturday. That was the application from the narrative. You know, it's no separate. How can we apply that to our lives?
Right.
Right? When my mother and my sister died, and my best friend from college and my godmother in 28 days, I can't run from Friday to Sunday to get back into. I was so busy trying to be the preacher, man, that I never was a son.
Yikes.
I lost my mom and my sister 3 weeks apart. But I was so busy planning the funerals, picking out the casket. And I'm wondering when all this is, and can't cry, and I'm wondering when it's over, I'm screwed in the mind.
Jesus.
Because I'm trying to rush to Sunday morning. But I'm still, man, I lost my mom and my sister 3 weeks apart. I had to bury both of them. And all that bit. And so, yeah, I'm a man of faith, but that screwed me up emotionally, mentally. Trying to get back busy, man, and I was so messed up that I was in grief so bad, but in denial, because I'm trying to get to Sunday morning.
You gotta get back to the pulpit.
I gotta be strong, right?
Man.
And not realizing this was traumatic for me. So that was the point I was trying to make, that Mary was so busy trying to get to the tomb on Sunday. She's still broken.
Yeah.
Still trying to get back into the routine. I gotta go anointing. And too many people right now, man, you come out of one relationship into another bad. Just left a bad relationship, but so don't want to be alone. You jump into another so quick because you haven't sat with yourself on Silent Saturday. Jesus. And I think any counselor, but you know, people don't get that. But that's the application of how
You have to have the application.
how Silent Saturday can apply to our lives. But people listening that don't think, well, that ain't it's the application that we want to move from Friday to Sunday too quick without sitting with Saturday.
Jesus.
Because sometimes you move to Sunday too quick and you ain't sat with Saturday. You're just taking trauma with you.
And you bring it to that new relationship.
You bring it to the new relationship.
Or you don't take time to grieve and you bleed on the people.
Yes.
You don't, man,
I was talking to one of the ladies in the church. I said, you know your problem? You don't trust men. So you got a new guy that you don't trust who ain't done nothing to you.
Them past relationships.
But because you ain't sat with Silent Saturday, you making the new guy pay a tax for something the old one did because you didn't heal on Silent Saturday. So that was the application to the point that sometimes we want to move from Crucifixion Friday.
Say he got up.
He got up because we want to just go past as if we didn't just see trauma on Friday.
And you know, when you were preaching, I was thinking how, you know, some preachers tell the story. We already know what happened.
Right.
If you turn the page, we know he got up.
Right.
But at that time,
right,
they should have known. I think you mentioned you said Mary, they spices and ointment.
Yeah.
When they should have had sausage and oatmeal. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's good.
Yeah, I was thinking about that whole Silent Saturday piece, right? And the Bible says that different passages. One says that it was Mary Magdalene, but they brought spices and ointment because they didn't have enough time on Friday because they had to be done at 3 because of 6 because of Passover,
Right,
that kind of
right.
stuff. So I was talking about how I was putting myself in her head that she got while it was dark, right, and she brought spices and ointment. So you think about her gift. Now, Jesus said they tear the tabernacle down. I'm going to build it in 3 days. Yeah. He'd already told them I'm going to get up.
He said it.
Right? But she brought spices and ointment. And it hit me. That indicated she didn't have faith in what he said.
And he said it.
He said, I'm going to get it. He told him.
He told him.
So I used a little alliteration and what we call hyperbole. It was metaphorical. She brought spices and ointment, but maybe she should have brought sausage and oatmeal. You see, spices, ointment, sausage, oatmeal. I just used the same thing. The point I was trying to make. Now somebody may say, well, Jesus didn't eat sausage and oatmeal. They just missed the whole point. The point was, y'all should have been thinking bring breakfast.
Right.
He ain't eating things.
That's what you said.
Yeah. So, which said that you didn't have expectation. You really didn't believe he was going to get up.
That's the application part.
That was the application point. So that was the whole point. Mary, why are you bringing spices and ointment?
Sausage and oatmeal.
You should have brought that man a sausage sandwich. You should have known that was a. Now somebody would say, well, that wasn't in the scriptures. That's hyperbole. It's interjecting something that's humorous and eisegetical to make the point. You brought him something you thought he's still gonna be dead.
Yeah, but he told you I was gonna
get up. But he told me to get up. So you should have brought him some breakfast. That should have been his opening. That was the point I was trying to make. But people just don't. Some people don't get it. But I'm fortunate. That was I was glad. That I was able to really, really bring it home because it made a point that you gotta have expectations.
Yeah.
If he said something, you gotta expect it. Many of us don't.
And he said it. Multiple times he said it.
And how many times, and here's the other point I want to make. How much has he said to us about what he do in our lives, and yet we still don't believe it? That's the application.
And you have to have it.
For us. Just like Mary didn't believe, right? And it's obvious she didn't believe she was going to get up based upon her bringing the spices and the ointment, when she should have brought the sausage and oatmeal. Now, how many times in our lives have we done the same thing?
Spices and ointment.
We bring spices. And so when he has promised so much about healing, about salvation, about providing, but really her gifts, what she brought, indicates she didn't believe. And that was the application. And like Mary, really didn't believe. Yeah. Many of us don't believe, even though he said it, many of us don't believe what he said. That's the application to that point.
And I was thinking, again, when I was listening to your sermon, I get it because I preach. And I'm like, they should have known.
Yes.
But at that time, like we say Good Friday, it wasn't good for them.
For none of them.
Right?
Right.
Or we come on a Sunday and we celebrate, but at the time it's like, man, this guy, he's dead.
Yes.
And we flipped the page so we know he got up. But I was listening through the context how you were preaching, like, because you was coming from Joseph's perspective.
Right.
At that time.
Yes.
And I felt like, do you think people may have missed what you said because they're so stuck on what we already know and didn't even think about the context that you were preaching in?
Man, that is so doggone.
Rushing it.
That is so doggone.
Well, we know he got up. But they didn't.
That is so doggone. That is so.
Yeah.
What you just said was so profound. We know the story.
We know it. Just flip this page.
We know the whole story. Yeah. We've heard it a million times. Which is another thing for me too. Easter, man, how many times I've been Easter all my life.
Yeah.
Resurrection Sunday. How can I tell that story in another way?
Right.
How can I do it in a creative way? But we preach we understand it from the knowledge of the whole story. They didn't. That's why I was trying to put us in their mind. We know he got up. They didn't understand it. They didn't believe it. So I was trying to get you to understand it from their. Let's put you in the text.
Right.
We're preaching from the outside of the text, looking back.
Right.
Like we know it. They didn't.
They didn't. It was,
That's
it was really, that Saturday was rough for them.
I was trying to put,
Yeah.
and really, and real preaching brings the text into you,
Right.
where it sits you in their seat to
Yeah.
feel.
You can smell what's going on.
Yes.
You see
Like I really wanted to, I wanted to embody Joseph of Arimathea. I studied the whole week about funeral directors. I wanted to preach it from his perspective, not knowing the whole story.
Right.
Put you in his to give him a voice.
Wow.
Let's give him a voice for resurrection, because we don't really hear from him from Resurrection Sunday.
That's true.
So I was trying to give him a voice in it. So that was what it was about.
So how do you draw the line between engagement and entertainment? We talk about illustration. Because some people, they do go overboard.
Absolutely.
But for you, when you're studying, when you're preparing, you're an educated preacher. How do you draw that line?
Well, it has to be Christ-centered.
Okay.
It has to be Bible-focused. And the goal has to be to glorify God and to convey the message. Some people do things that are very trite, unprofessional, and shock value.
Yeah.
There was no shock value in this.
Right. Yeah.
This was just something to put you, the illusion to put you in that place. And let me say this, because this is very, very important. I remember having my conversation with my dad about this, about preaching. He said to me, son, preaching, he preached a sermon one time, one of his greatest sermons called The Gospel According to the Birds of my dad. He talked about it from a powerful message. But he said this to me, he said, son, preaching should never be entertainment, but it should be entertaining. I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, look at the word entertain. Entertaining means to hold somebody's attention.
Yeah.
How you gonna preach and don't hold
That's true.
Don't hold their attention? And how many dry sermons have we heard that people went to sleep on because you couldn't? So you need to do something that piques their interest and holds their attention. That's all.
Your dad said that before TikTok,
This.
before IG, YouTube. So
I was a
if
teenager.
it's boring,
I was a teenager.
I can literally be on social media. Wow, that person is preaching. That's crazy.
It means to engage in. So we and he up there entertaining. Look, do you know what entertain means? The definition of it?
You gotta hold their
It just means
attention.
to hold their attention. That's all it means. To hold their attention. If you look at it, probably Webster's, Thorndike, Oxford.
Hold their attention.
One of the primary definition, if not the primary, if you look at it, to hold one's attention. How you gonna communicate to somebody and you don't hold their attention? How many dry sermons have you heard that we have really, just embarrassed the gospel, embarrassed the Bible because people just so dry you rather watch paint drown the wall. You know what I'm saying? So that's you need to hold people's attention. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So it's not entertainment,
That's profound.
but it should be entertaining.
To
hold one's attention. And he showed me the definition of the word. Entertain means to hold one's attention. Don't you ever preach the gospel and you ain't hold people's attention. Think about that.
Jesus Christ.
How you gonna preach or teach and you can't hold my attention?
Man. So do you think that's why, I can only speak for my generation.
Yes.
And I hear, I'm not going to church, or they'll stand up, quiet saying, when the preacher get up, it's like, all right, let me get on my phone. We're not holding their attention.
Not holding attention, man.
Because we're afraid to try new things.
And here's the problem with that.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the problem with that. But the same people, my son, I was at the house last week, and Saturday, and I said, son, come watch the basketball game with me, right? I got cable, got a basketball game on. I got ordered some wings. This dude wanted to watch the basketball game with me on TV. I got the speaker and sub. But you know what he doing? Dude, why you watching the game on your phone? I got wings and chips on the phone. So my point is, this generation, they don't have cable.
Yeah. Just
Cable TV, everything YouTube content. So everything. So you expect me to be all week long. I'll watch BMF. I'll watch.
That's my show.
Snowfall. I got the show I watch under Queen of South. Anything with some mob violence. Pablo Escobar. I like gangster stuff.
Yeah.
I watch it all day.
Man.
Episode after episode. I ain't got to use the bathroom, nothing.
Yeah.
Turn the sermon on, I'm asleep 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it, it's not because our story is bad. We got the greatest stories in the world.
That is true. Yeah.
That's not a story on TikTok, a story on YouTube that's better than our story.
Yeah. Jesus.
But they got writers, they got producers, they got lighting. It's how the story is crafted. They're doing a better job of curating how the story is told. And we want to tell it the same way without even thinking about how can I be true to the scriptures, but tell it in a way where people, where I can appeal to all their senses. The visual part, and that's the piece, but people just it's copied this way. You have the introduction, your 3 points, your poem, and your close, and 2 Greek words. We just limited, man. All the full expression of God, and all these gifts God has given us.
So my boy Keenan, we were in seminary.
Yeah.
And he liberated me. He called me one time. He was like, bro, I realized I prepare to preach to preachers.
Yep.
He said, and I go preach, and the preachers, Reverend, but the people are looking like, what is he talking about? Do you think that's a problem too, where, as a preacher, we prepare these sermons, or some people, to get engagements, to go to the platform. So you pull out the Greek word to prove how smart, but what about the people who, all they have is a 3rd grade education, right? Like, do you think that's a problem? We prepare to preach or prove to other preachers we are worthy for a platform versus using our creativity and preaching sermons so that people can know who Jesus is.
Whenever I teach a homiletics class, I've been blessed to do that, teach doctoral students. And one of the main lessons I bring them in this is too many of us try to be impressive rather than be impactful. Who cares about you knew Plato, Aristotle, or Euripides?
Wow.
What good is all that head knowledge? Howard Thurman said he's got to be head and heart.
And heart, yeah.
So yeah, I'm impressive, but what impact did you make? Jesus. We have these, homiletical urinating contests to see who can excrete the furthest. But what does that have to do with impacting people's lives?
Man.
So I don't care how impressive you are. Only what you do for Christ is gonna last.
That's true.
Yeah, vain words and all this kind of stuff, it means nothing, man. And I just think that's a problem. We have gotten away from the main thing. It's letting the common people hear us gladly. Bringing the wazness of the word into the is of now through the medium of the gifts, personalities, and skills of the communicator. That's it. However God gives it to you. You ain't got to do it like nobody else. If you can't hoop, stop trying to hoop. Talk it out.
Yeah.
Just and be confident that when God called you, he gave you everything you needed. And here's another thing. God has never anointed a counterfeit.
You gotta be yourself.
You gotta be yourself.
Man.
And just know when God called you knowing that you would, when God called you, God qualified you. And that's enough. That's enough. Yeah.
So what would you say to those who they misunderstand the intention behind creative sermons? What would you say to them right now?
I would say, know your motive, know your intent, and don't worry about haters.
Jesus.
They didn't call you. Haters. They didn't call you, man. You preach the gospel simple, full, and free. You bring them into the word. You accurately describe the text. You accurately interpret the text. And you concisely share what the text meant and bring the application to share with them how that text can apply to your life. Now, in the application, sometimes it can't be all about ourselves. It got to be about Christ and have a big picture of God.
Right.
But the word does apply to us.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah. So everything can't be about how it benefits me. I'm getting but the gospel does benefit us. He came that we may have life.
Right.
But if everything application is about you, getting versus what about getting better, getting closer to God.
Right.
But there has to be application. And the application can be varied based upon what God is doing through you in that message. Yeah.
You have a book out about preaching. Tell the people the name of the book. Where can they get it?
My latest book is called Preaching on Every Channel.
Yes, sir.
And I was writing, and I wrote the book. I was thinking about film. It's really, I'm thankful for that shameless plug.
Yeah, man, I love you, man.
But I was studying about film, and I looked at all the different genres of television. It's really the same thing you just mentioned earlier. Why do people watch TV,
Man,
but don't listen to sermons?
I mean, all day.
I can watch every episode of Law and Order, the SUV unit, right? Especially victims. So why can I do that, but I can't watch a 30-minute sermon? So, and I looked at the different genres of TV. You got what you call procedurals, you got mystery, you got history, you got science fiction, the different genres of television, right? And I thought about, you got cooking shows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's very huge. Why do people watch? So what do they do with a cooking show? So I looked at each genre, a few genres of TV, and wondered, what if I preached a sermon, right? The legal, you got medical, genre, medical, right? Procedural, we call it procedural. Yeah. What if I preached a sermon stylistically, the way a Law and Order episode is crafted?
That's good. That's good. Because people watch it. They watch it.
It comes on ding ding. Most of the time that's a crime, right? Or problem.
Yeah.
Then it investigates. What if I took that same style of a SVU, but then apply the text on top of it? A cooking channel.
Good.
A lot of cooking shows, they may show you the cake. You see how nice this cake looks? And you see the cake, oh, don't you want some of this cake? But then they'll back up and show you the ingredients. What if I show somebody, okay, here's a beautiful relationship. Oh, paint the picture of a beautiful relationship. Now, you want to get this relationship? Now let's look at the scripture to see what are the ingredients that would take. So take the same style of one of these genres of television. Court TV.
Yeah.
What is a court TV? You got a plaintiff, defendant, judge.
Yeah.
What kind of text could you use to apply on a court TV show? So take the same style, but apply the text, and it makes preaching come alive. So every time you're watching TV, man, I could put this story here on this. Mystery. Enoch walked away with the Lord. You know, cold cases. Where is Enoch? Yeah.
Make you want to read, make you want to watch, and go back and read it for yourself.
Same, but preaching the text,
but
applying one of the genres of TV, the styles, to put the text on that, and it's going all over the world.
And you recorded and a few others the video before the sermon, before the Who Got the Body sermon.
Yes.
Talk about that experience. It was great.
Yeah, I started doing those late 90s.
Okay.
And what I wanted to do was do a contemporary reenactment of the story.
That's good.
So, because I was at, the Easter plays. So how could we'll film a 5-minute, skit, whatever, of that text in a contemporary way, play it on the screens, right, to set the tension up.
Set it up. Instead, because you could have preached it and said it.
Yes.
But I see.
So this year it was shown. We did a film, short film that Greg, shout out to Pastor Greg, he wrote it. When I gave him the pilot story, he wrote it, and it showed the interaction with Pilate, asking for the body, and then the hearse driving away. And when the film went off, then I come on the stage to carry it. So instead of me preaching that introduction,
they can see
you can see the story.
Now you in.
When you comes on, you're already in the story. So even people who never read the scripture before saw that introduced, and now guess what? They're interested in the story now. How is this going to resolve? There are people who came to church never heard of Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah.
They never heard of Pilate.
Nah.
But they got a chance to see that, and now I want to go back and
read it. I can read it. That's
and they can talk about that sermon. They're still talking about it. They can talk about it for weeks. People gonna talk about that from now on.
Yeah.
They learned something that they got it in such a way that was creative, and that it can retain. Wow. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't understand. You can't worry about them. You got to do what God's called you to do, and you can't. Man, you can't. If you respond to everybody. Or try to make people preach, especially preachers, because they think they are men think they're the bastions for what it is. If it's not this way, it's not right, and you can't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll stop you.
The style that, most preachers use, somebody else came up with that. So who said like that was the style for every generation, So what I hear is, hey, I'm creating something that works for me.
Yes.
And then for all those preachers who may be narrative preacher and they like, and that's me, I like to watch TV, man. That's just, I got to see it.
Yes.
I see scripture like I'm watching movies.
Yes.
But as a younger preacher, sometimes I don't want to use the word fearful, but I'm hesitant. So I'm like, man, I don't want to say something that like, I don't want to get crucified. But what advice would you give that young preacher, such as myself? Like, hey, this is what the Lord gave me. And you know my situation.
Yeah.
I get it, I see it, and then I chicken out because I'm like, well, maybe, just what advice would you give that preacher?
Here's what I would say. The Gospels, Mark was the first gospel written.
Yeah.
Okay? The shortest one. He's quick, straight with, forward. Mark comes on, there's no birth narrative. Matthew comes on, he goes back to Abraham. He's speaking to a Jewish audience.
Yeah.
Right? That's why he uses kingdom of heaven versus kingdom of God, because he doesn't want to upset the Jews, right? Luke's talking to the Gentiles. He's trying to present the world of women, children, outcasts. John talks about the deity of Christ. So he says in the beginning, each one of them is different.
Different, yeah.
Different audiences.
Yeah.
Which one is more anointed? Is Mark less anointed than Matthew? Because Mark is 16 chapters and Matthew is 28. Paul, you got Deutero-Pauline literature, authentic Pauline literature. Some books are ascribed to Paul, like Hebrews, but he used a greeting, a salutation, a body, and a close, doxology. Very plain spoken. Barnabas was more eloquent in speech. Apollos, rather, was more eloquent. Is Apollos more anointed because he's more eloquent, and Paul less anointed because he's more plain spoken?
Wow.
We don't all have to sound
The same,
alike.
Man, that's crazy.
Matthew doesn't have to be Mark. Mark doesn't have to be Luke. Luke doesn't have to be John. But we come up in this, and homoleticians are doing this. I'm sitting in seminaries. They want to make everybody sound the same. Man, what is your DNA? What is your story? Your oil is only going to pour. Your oil only pours on who you are, not who you pretend to be.
Jesus.
So if you want your oil, be who you are. There's a group that will listen to you. There are people, I'm not everybody's Kool-Aid. Right? I'm not everybody's tea. And I'm grateful that for 38 years, God has sent me my own audience.
So when did you get to that point though? Because some people may just, I don't care, but did you have to build to that?
Yeah, I did. Because a long time I thought that scholarship and, I'd be telling the story of Rome and they want to hear, bless me. I want to be, I'll take 10 minutes and talk about church history. Because I'm a historian. I like
that's what you like,
And so there were times I wondered, would people want to hear this? But then God just convicted me, like, be who you are.
That's what you like.
Be who you are. Do it the way what makes you unique. People say, now there are moments I sound like my dad. I sound like my grandfather. I'm supposed to.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong
that's
with that.
That's the moments I have some of them in me, right? But I was able to find my own voice. They say it takes 30 years to find your own voice.
30?
That's what my dad would say.
30 years.
To really find your voice. And I'm still trying to, that's what they say. So, but I think it took me, I think maybe I started pastoring in 1990. I think around 2000, 2002 is when I got confident.
This is
who I am, and wherever God's gonna take me, it's gonna be through this. Some people they with Paul. I go to Apostles' church. I go to Barnabas' church. I go to Paul's church. That's what's going on. Listen, one water, one plant. I realize there's some people who would never like my style. I'm not trying to reach them. That's not my audience.
Jesus.
If my style is not something that reaches them, God, I pray God gives them somebody who can. Because we all got preferences. Some people like Buicks. Some people like Toyotas.
Some people like motorcycles.
Some people like walking. But I've been pastoring thousands of people since I was 28 years old. I've had thousands of members since I was 28. And so I realize now, that's why God gives a diversity of gifts. Everybody can't go to the same church. Everybody doesn't feed off the same person. Some people have preferences. But if you be who you are, God will have an audience for you. Luke's audience was not Matthew's audience.
Yeah.
But they did what God called them.
Yeah. Wow.
right?
Man, this is good.
Yeah, Paul was called to go to the Gentiles. That's why he went on the missionary journeys. He wasn't trying to reach the same people Peter was necessarily.
Yeah.
So, you be who you are, and God will send people who are blessed by your gifts. And I just believe that with everything in me. And God has proven that to me. That God will send you who he wants to listen to you.
So, a few more things before we close
sure.
out. Now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in sports, it's okay to be confident.
Yes.
I do this.
Yes.
When you play sports.
Yes.
When I was playing baseball, football, I'm like, I know
Yes.
I can hit that ball.
Yes.
But when it comes to preaching in church, to God be the good Lord.
Yeah.
Is it okay to say, I know I can preach. This is my style. This is what I'm good at this. Or is that considered arrogance, or what's the difference?
Here's what I would say. I'm confident that God called me.
That's good.
I'm confident that God knew everything about me before God called me. And I'm confident that if God called me, God will use me and gifted me to convey his message. So my confidence is not in me. It's in what I know God has put in me, the gifts and the talents to convey to fulfill my assignment. So being confident, he who have begun a good work.
Yeah.
So the confidence is not, I can't do it apart from him. Because at the end of the day, unless the Holy Spirit shows up, my daddy would say, that's the real preacher now. Unless the preacher come, everything is in vain. So it's the confidence that God, I know you called me. I know you gifted me. And I know you will use me as I yield to you. Yeah. And I know you put in me everything I need to fulfill this call you given me. Nothing wrong with that. If he started the work, he'll finish it.
He gonna finish it.
Yeah, that's Paul said, I'm confident in this.
God gonna finish it.
Yeah, if he started, that's not arrogance. So the confidence is not in me. That's why every time now, even after 38 years, my stomach, every time I get up, my stomach is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come out late because I'm having a consecration in the bathroom. Yeah, every time, Doc, you better make sure it's some Charmin back there somewhere. When I go to the churches, I take my own cologne. You want to come out, Doc? Y'all go ahead on. My stomach turns to, I don't preach for it. That's why I don't eat before I preach.
Oh,
yeah, every time. And my granddad told me, they said that's a good sign. He said, that means you're not depending on yourself.
That's good.
That means when you go out there, that means unless the Lord use me, it ain't gonna work. Every single time my stomach is bubbling.
Jesus.
After 38 years. So I know he called me, but I'm still nervous. Like in football, I'd be nervous till that first hit.
Yeah.
That first hit.
Mouth dry.
Yeah.
That's
the
real.
same way. Same way for me with preaching.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, any advice, anything you want to just give before we close out to those who are watching, preachers.
Yeah.
It can be those who want to do content. Talk to them.
I think that what I would tell you is this, in 1 Samuel 16, God got ready to call another king of Israel, and he sent Samuel down to Jesse's house in Bethlehem to anoint the king because one of Jesse's sons was going to be the king. And Jesse invited 7 of his sons, thinking that one of those 7 would be the king. And the oil, which signified the person was going to be the king, wouldn't pour on none of those first 7 guys' heads. In so much, even when they thought one of those 7 was going to be the king, the oil wouldn't pour. And Samuel had to ask Jesse, well, do you have another son? He said, yeah, I got one in the back. But he's a rude looking fella. You can't be him. He out here with the sheep. And Samuel has to say, go get him. The daddy didn't do it. The brothers didn't do it. He's disrespected by his daddy, despised brothers. But a man who didn't know him said, you got to have another one. He brings David from the field, and David comes in, and the oil pours on David. The least likely one, the 8th one, the one who was not invited to the party. And that says to me that David's oil knew his name.
Jesus.
And when you walk in who you're called to be, I don't care if you've been disrespected by people, disregarded by even your own denomination. If God has oil for you, it's going to find you. You show up and you be who you are, not who you pretend to be, because God doesn't anoint counterfeits. Be confident that if God has called you and given you the assignment, I don't care what you lack. I don't care how well somebody else does it. Nobody else in the world has your DNA. And nobody else can do it like you. I don't care how many mistakes you've made. You can even use your mistakes for his glory. Your divorce. I talked today about the depression I went through that was so significant, right? God can even use that. I'm not embarrassed by that, of my scars. Yeah, I almost lost it. I didn't want to preach. I wanted to fight somebody. If one other person would have told me, stop crying, your mama's in heaven. If one more person would have said that, I was going to go taekwondo on a Negro. I know what she is. It's what she ain't that's the problem. I was miss my freaking mama.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm a mama's boy. But guess what? Now 10 years later, she's been gone 10 years, I can share that with somebody who lost their mom. Right? I'm not embarrassed to make you think I got my act together and I made all the, no. I make mistakes in my life. And I've had grief and I've had depression, but I know that God can use all that for his glory, because when God called me, God knew all this. My ups, my downs, my failures. Don't be embarrassed by your scars. Your scars mean you had a wound, but it healed. I'd much rather you show your scar than your wound, because a scar means you survived it. So show your scars. And if God calls you, don't be like nobody else. Develop your gift. Discover your gift, develop it, and then deploy it for God's glory. God's got something special for you. I don't care who doesn't believe in you. Your parents, your denomination, your friends. If God has oil for you, nobody can get the oil but you. You walk in it.
Man, thank you. Thank you for being courageous. Thank you for being creative. Thank you for being our Samuel. You put a lot of people on, man.
Wow. God,
we appreciate you and we love you, man. And we know that we are better because you are still alive, man.
To God be the glory.
I hope you feel great even about being able to share and just helping the world, man. So we love you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to share this. This is something that I wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And for letting me talk about it, because I think it's important. And also for our conference coming up, we're talking about preaching in October.
Yeah,
you're going to be there for the conference, leading. And so it's in October, our MYM, Maximize Your Ministry Conference, Leadership Lab. So it's in October. Go to my website and you can sign up. Say the date now. October 7th through 9th of this year. It's going to be powerful right here in Atlanta. Maximizing Your Ministry, Leadership Labs. I'm doing a whole session on preaching. Dr. Boone's going to be a part of that as well. And we're going to talk more about this conversation today about preaching and a whole host of things for your entire ministry. Business, technology, AI, finances. It's going to be the whole gamut. October 7th through October 9th right here in Atlanta at the House of Hope. So hope you can come and be a part of that with us.
Man, we appreciate you, Doc.
Thank you, Doctor.
Listen, thank you, those of you who've watched this podcast. This has been another episode of No Amen Required. And we want you to keep tuning in, all right? We love you. We'll see you soon.